Hi guys, and welcome to another kit review. And today we're having a look at, what a surprise, a Tiger 1 from Tamiya in 1/35th scale. This is the fourth Tiger kit that I have in my collection. Okay, so this one is actually a Tiger 1 Panzerkampfwagen 6 Tiger 1 Ausführung SDKFZ 181 Fruhe Production. This is basically an early production, not the initial or mid or late. This is an early production one. So this is one of the earliest ones that came off the production line after the initial production. And I have done a review of the Tamiya's initial production Tiger 1 Africa. So if you want to have a check that one out, okay, that's in the list. Okay, so let's have a look and see. Standard Tamiya box art. You do get a commander figure. This particular model does have 6, I won't say versions, but 6 variations on a theme. Literally, and it just comes down to minor differences as where you put the spare tracks, whether you use the S-mine discharges. So early version, the initial version didn't have these. It did have the smoke discharges on the turret. The early version, when they came out, had 5. There's another one on the back corner over there. 5 of these. These are S-mine discharges. So literally they throw out an S-mine, which is, if anyone knows German mines, the S-mine, it's an anti-personnel mine. When it explodes, it just fires ball bearings everywhere. So there were 5 of these on the top side of the tank. The idea was to fire them and make sure you just literally shredded any infantry that were approaching you from the sides, back, or wherever. The biggest danger was the rear ones, because they had to be mounted as far back as possible, usually on a bracket, because if they were too close and they exploded, when they exploded, the engine and everything else down the back here was also shredded with ball bearings. Anyway, early version, they've gotten rid of the holes for the stereoscopic viewer above the driver's vision slot. Other minor differences, it does have a very straight oh god, brain went dead. Side skirts, sorry guys. Whereas the initial version had actually a kink in the middle here, okay, and then just changes to the mud guards, etc. Just all minor changes. Overall, the Tiger didn't change throughout its entire life, apart from minor changes. The late version had the outer road wheels removed completely. Okay, so there's the box. Let's have a look. Usual Tamiya 3 view of the Tiger. This one is in dark yellow with the green stripes. You do get a commander figure with this one. On the other side, this one is in overall Panzer Grey. This one is, of course, in winter whitewash over a dark yellow. Alright, then it's numbered SO4. And the SO4, I believe, was Michael Whitman's Tiger. So that may be an interesting one to model. Okay, so yes, they did come out in Panzer Grey initially. They came out in Panzer Grey from the factory until it was decided overall that everything was going to be in dark yellow. I think that was in 1943. Okay, so that's the box. Let's have a look and see what's actually inside. Standard Tamiya instructions. Okay, we'll have a look at those shortly. A separate painting guide and also decal placement. These are Feather Series aftermarket grill set that I got. At the time I I bought this, I couldn't get a Tamiya set, so can always recommend the minimum photo etch you should buy for a Tiger or whatever is a grill set. It just enhances the look of the whole model. Okay, and let's have a look. The whole kit is in a Panzer grey colour. You have your standard hull tub, bag of wheels, bag of parts, and this is your Fifle air filter system, including the pipe and fitting instructions. Okay, commander's cupola, spare track, etc. One bag which is the upper hull, turret and commander figure, and the other bag is your side skirts, gun barrel, breech and stowage box, etc. And of course your final tracks and your usual Tamiya tech tips. Okay, and that's literally it. Right, so we'll get rid of that, and in a second we'll have a look at the instructions and the decals. Okay, so let's have a look at the instructions. Alright, so I'll put those aside. So, standard Tamiya instructions. Okay, photo of the actual model. Brief history of the tank in 4 languages: Japanese, French, German and English, and it does give you specifics as to when the S-mine discharges were mounted on the hull, the addition of a loader's periscope, etc. So it's always interesting to read the history. Of course, there are plenty of publications and definitely a lot of online resources which will give you a much deeper insight into the Tiger production. And then overleaf, you've got your usual recommended tools, your paint call-outs, all Tamiya colors, caution, warnings, etc. And this does specify here the 6 variants for this early production Tiger. It is literally comes down to whether you mount the S-mine discharges, where you put the spare tracks, etc. Just minor differences, because I think something in within this first 6 months production of a Tiger, there were lots of little changes and variations. In fact, throughout its entire life, there were, same as any other tank, improvements, changes, things to make it a little bit better. And all of this has come from feedback from the actual crews, because Henschel and Maybach and all the other production people involved actually had their own people go out to the field workshops and interview crews about what they liked and didn't like about the vehicles. Okay, so we start off usual Tamiya Tiger, putting the drive sprockets together, mounting the torsion bar suspension in, putting the wheels together. Okay, fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Alright, so this being an early version, it does have the full interleaved wheel system. It's fairly simple. Pay attention to the instructions and you can't go wrong. Alright, this does have the outer wheels. Okay, because it is an early version. On the late version, those wheels were dispensed with, and in fact, when the Tiger was transported by rail, these outer wheels were removed as well, alright, to narrow the profile. So not only did they put transport tracks on, which were narrower, they took the outer wheels off as well. So if you're going to show this on a railway wagon, you need to remove those wheels. In most cases, I'll say. In some cases they didn't, depending on where they were being transported. Okay, so then we get to front glasses plate, machine gun mount, rear engine deck hatch. And this is fairly simple construction. It's a Tamiya kit, you can't go wrong. Right? It does suggest here, okay, Tamiya's own photo etch grills. As I said, I couldn't find them at the time. They weren't available, so I opted for some other aftermarkets. You can't go wrong. They're fairly simple, straightforward, and always the same. Okay. Upper hull. Upper hull goes on the lower hull. Okay. That's fairly simple, straightforward. That's your front part with the front mudguards. Just your jack and your exhaust pipes. Then you put the tracks together. Okay. Rear of the tank, exhaust pipes, rear mudguards, tools are going on. Right. Then you've got, and this comes down to the version that you're going to model, because the later early ones, they had different types of FIFO air conditioners. Okay, air filters. Right, so this is version C. Okay, and this is for the other versions. Right, so the air filters did change. This would be an initial probably, and these are later. So minor variations, nothing major. This is your S-mine discharges, right? And it does tell you right there what versions they go on, right? So fairly straightforward. Then it's a case of just putting the exhaust pipes, okay, hatches, cables, etc. going on the hull. All fairly basic stuff. If you've built a Tiger tank before, you'll know how this happens. Tools on the front. Okay. Basic interior on the turret. Basic gun breech mechanism. Couple of seats. Nothing fancy. Commander's hatch, loader's hatch, etc. And then you do have a two-piece gun barrel. So this kit cost me around about $40 odd. A single metal gun barrel for this Tiger probably cost me about a third the cost of the kit. So it's a should I, shouldn't I, depending on how pedantic you are. For me, I'm quite happy. As long as that's straight, I'm happy with that barrel. Okay, so here you have again version AD. So read the instructions on this particular kit, because it, like I said, it does have 6 versions, so to speak, and it all comes down to placement of spare tracks and S-mine discharges and little bits like that. Okay, and then that's it. Turret goes on the hull, side skirts go on, painting of your commander figure, and she's done. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward Tamiya kit. Like I said, you shouldn't have a problem putting this together. Let's have a look at the painting. Okay, so this is Russia 1944, overall dark yellow. Okay, this is Sprues Panzerabteilung 502. Overleaf, you've got, this is October 43, and this tank is in overall Panzer Grey, because the initial, as I said, the original German colour for all tanks was Panzer Grey. Then you've got Tunisia 43. That colour scheme is overall dark yellow, which is not correct. Use your internet references, especially from the Tank Museum in the UK. They do have interesting articles out there about the correct painting of Tunisia Tigers. It does say 131. When 131 was first captured and transported to the UK, she had her original colour scheme. Sometime in the early history of the museum, she was painted in overall dark yellow, incorrectly. The Tank Museum has now corrected that, so I believe they do actually have something about Tiger 131 on YouTube. It's definitely recommended to look it up. This one here is Russia 43 in overall dark yellow with red, brown and green, dark green stripes on it. And of course this one here, which is Schwerpanzer Abteilung 101 in Russia winter, has a white wash coat over the top of it. Alright, that looks a perfect white wash coat. You might want to mess that one up a bit. And last but not least, this one here, it doesn't even give you a date for it. It is literally just an overall dark yellow with a red brown stripes on it. Okay, so there's your tiger painting. So let's have a look at the criticals, the decals. Quite comprehensive, as you can see. There's quite a few numbers, even barrel kill marks on there. Okay, standard Tamiya quality, quite nicely done. Okay, doesn't have any major problems that I can see on there. These are the aftermarkets grill set. These ones are the Feather series. The only thing you have to watch is to make sure that you do actually get Tamiya Tiger 1 grill set rather than a Panther or you know, Trumpeter or something else. Make sure it is a Tamiya set. And lastly, this is the pipe for the Firefall exhaust system. Okay, this feels like a fabric pipe. Okay, you do get comprehensive instructions for it. Oop, that's upside down. Sorry guys. You do get comprehensive instructions about lengths and how to fit it. So definitely read your instructions. The original Tamiya Tigers back in the 70s came out with rubber pipe. This is much better, I think. Much better. Okay, and that's the instructions and the decals, etc. In a second, we will have a look at the sprues. Okay, so let's have a look at the sprues. So this kit came out in 1997. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to show you is the hull tub, which is fairly basic, fairly straightforward. Panzer grey, not a great deal of detail on here, but then again you're not going to see it. Usual access hatches and things on the bottom of the tiger hull. Interestingly enough, and I'm not sure if I can get that in focus for you. See if I can. There is the copyright and the kit number. So it does say 35145. The kit number for this is 35216, and the copyright is 1989. So Tamiya has reissued this, reboxed it several times, but it is still a really good, easy kit to build. Okay, so that's the hull tub. The first sprue out we're going to have a look at is the hull top. Okay, so even though this is, what did I say? This is a 97 issue. That makes it 24 years old. There's no flash on here, and it is still crisp. So that's the good thing about Tamiya. It always keeps its molds clean, and you don't get a huge amount of flash or anything. So that's the seat for inside the turret. As you can see from this turret, this is the early version, and they've already installed the escape hatch on the back. So the crew, not only did they use it as an escape hatch, they also used it as a loading hatch or whatever else they needed. Funnily enough, the crews didn't actually like that hatch. All right, they appreciated the fact that it was there, but to close it, you needed someone on the back of the tank to push it closed. And in, certain circumstances, you just didn't have the time. Okay, but detailing really nice and crisp. All right, really nice and crisp. These are your Commander's Periscopes. Okay, just in case you were wondering what they were. So I'll give you some close-ups of this as we go anyway. All right, so that's the first sprue. The next sprue out, and there aren't that many in this one anyway. This is your bits and pieces. So you have your tow cables. This is your gun breech, fairly basic, stowage box, front mud guards, machine gun, tools. Certain parts of this kit you won't use. They had not installed a additional ring around the commander's cupola for an anti-aircraft machine gun at this stage, and things like that. So anything that's not used will go into the spares box, which is not too bad. These are your early version side skirts. As you can tell, they're a nice straight line. On the initial version, they actually had a kink in the middle. Okay, so that is your bits and pieces stowage box gun barrel. Next we will have a look at, and there isn't that many sprues in this. This is your next one. So this is your spare tracks 5 air filter. So you've got two different types, an early and a light later type. So depending on which variant you're going to model in this kit, okay, you can alter that a little bit. Commander's hatch, etc. This is your air filter piping, another cable, and spare track links. Okay, so that's not too bad. Really nice detail. I like the fact that you do have 6 different choices with this kit, so you can give a bit of variation. If you wanted to, you could buy a couple more of these. They're relatively cheap compared to trumpeters and people like that, Tiger ones. And you could just have a bit of fun with some different types and different styles. Okay. And last but not least, you have 2 of these. These are your wheels, okay? So I'll put that one away. Alright, really nice bolt detail, really sharp. Okay, that's your torsion bars. That is your gun travel lock, which was introduced in later variants. Okay, the initial didn't have it, which is funny. Although what did happen was, with the actual gun breech, it did have a lock inside the turret to lock it in place during travel. Let's turn this over. Okay, there is your escape hatch. That is the bottom of your exhaust pipe with some really nice detail on it. Spade. Okay, loader's hatch. Some really nice bolt detail on this kit. You'll notice the wheels do have numbers. That's to help you making sure that you get the right wheel all sorted and put together. But the bolt detail is really nice. It is really nice and crisp. Okay, there's no flash on this. So this is one of those kits that Tamiya just keeps reissuing. Okay, so they make sure that all the molds and things are in really good condition. And that's the last of the sprues. These are your vinyl tracks, very flexible, not bad detail. Yes, you could replace it with aftermarkets, but then that comes down to cost as well. I know that I could probably buy a set of aftermarket tracks for this kit, which would cost exactly the same price as the original kit. Is it worth it? No, not for my money, right? Not when it's just going to sit on the shelf. You paint these up, muddy them up, you won't notice the difference. Okay, and that, guys, is it. That is sorry. That is Tamiya's Tiger 1 early production version. Okay, really nice kit. As I said, this is the 4th Tiger kit that I've got from Tamiya. I don't have a problem with it. I do love the Tiger tank. One of my favorite tanks, I guess. But anyway, as usual, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for your comments, your subscriptions, and your likes. And until next time, take it easy, stay well, stay happy, and I'll see you later.